I think that the overall meaning is not complex, but we make it complex and twist it in our minds to distance the feeling from conscious understanding. My name is Ethan Brain, and I will be discussing my short surrealist film, Crying in Deep Space. What does it mean to be a solitary man who is so horrified by the world that he retreats inside his own mind to save his sanity? A man who views reality as an uncomfortable, contorting world, a nightmare so outlandish and confusing that he struggles to escape. That is the struggle of the main character, Jack Ransom, in my surrealist film, Crying in Deep Space. Just to begin, in this talk, I would like to avoid my direct inspirations and avoid influencing the viewer with my abstract interpretations, because I feel imagery that is not direct should always be open for interpretation and not soiled by artist statements. However, I will explain the philosophical and psychological undertones that fueled my creative process. There are three main psychological and philosophical undertones to my work and in Crying in Deep Space, starting with the philosophical idea of solipsism. Now, solipsism is a philosophical idea that one's mind is the only thing that can be known to exist. Reality is not real in the sense of being external to one's mind, so detachment is ultimately one of the biggest parts of a solipsist mindset. The solipsist does not believe that anything outside of the mind is real. Everything that is not in their own reality is unsure. So it's a very self-centered, a very focused mindset. They're creating worlds in their mind. They're very focused on their mind. They are indifferent to the outside world. They are indifferent to their body. All that can be known to exist is your mind. Generally, this solipsist attitude can lead to the psychological disorder known as depersonalization. Now, depersonalization is defined by the persistent feeling of observing oneself from outside one's body or having a sense that one's surroundings aren't real. This is generally a connected idea to solipsism. The self can be known to exist, the mind can be known to exist, but everything around you is not real. Everything around you is not certain. The mind is certain, but everything else is not. This can lead to existential crisis or other feelings like that, the feeling of viewing oneself from outside one's body. There's a disconnect here, and that's something that I explored a lot in Crying in Deep Space. The final philosophical or psychological theme that I explored was the idea of an immersive paracosm, or simply paracosm. A paracosm is an obsessively detailed imaginary space or world that was either created intentionally or unintentionally. This is a common thing in literature. Think of The Lord of the Rings. This is an obsessively detailed imaginary world. In the case of Crying in Deep Space, the paracosm was the radio station or TV station that was operating inside the head of the main character, Jack Ransom. When an artist uses a paracosm as a source of inspiration, it leads to a lot of dream state or dream environment type of images. This can present itself in the form of abstract logic or surrealist logic. This is something that can be found throughout the film in the form of surreal environments, abstract shapes, abstract forms, surreal conversations and dialogue. It is a repeated theme throughout the film. There are three main sections of the film, including the live-action interview scenes, the outdoor scenes, and the animation section. The animated portion of the film was made using the 3D modeling software Maya, and it was rendered exclusively in Maya and Arnold renderers. The interview scene was made only using one person, myself, and I was doubled into the frame using split-screen seamless composite editing. This was a fairly easy process due to the still camera setup, and it was nice to be able to double myself into the image and create a seamless appearance. The repetition of the sphere form throughout the film is something that is representative of the solipsist attitude and the bodily form that is discussed in depersonalization. For me, the sphere is representative of the body. In one of the scenes, you can see that there's a heart beating inside the sphere, and for me, the sphere is representative of human flesh, of the human body, of the human form. Due to the solipsist attitude, the mind is the only thing that matters, so therefore the skin could be viewed as a cage, or in this case, as a sphere cage. All of the imagery in this film was deeply personal and made using a personal process. Nothing was taken from outside sources, and it was all constructed using personal imagery and personal inspiration. I have linked the full video in the description below, and I hope that you enjoy watching it, and I hope that you draw your own conclusions about the abstract visuals and surreal shapes. Thank you very much.